Good morning, everybody, to the fourth Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council Working Group number 5. This is the Agriculture Agri-Tech Working Group. Before I continue, I'd like to just remind you that there is an interpreter feature on the Zoom at the bottom. You can listen to it in Russian or in English, or you can be bilingual and not hit anything, and you'll hear both languages as they're being spoken. I need to remind myself, of course, it's good evening to our friends and colleagues in Kazakhstan. It's rather late in the evening. So this is the challenge, having an association which connects North America with Central Asia. Thank you to everybody for participating at this early hour or this late hour. This is the working group for agriculture, agri-tech as part of the KCBC. KCBC was formed several years back in order to promote business connections between Canada and Kazakhstan. We have involvement of businesses, of governments, and academics, and anybody interested in this part of the world. There have been 4 previous working group meetings. This is the 5th one for agriculture. On Wednesday is going to be a plenary session where the working groups report back to the main group about the main discussions. And on Thursday is the large plenary, which is held for everybody to participate. And I urge you to check your website to log on to register for those events. KCBC is is sponsored by Cameco for the Canadian side and by Kazakh from the Kazakh side. And they're very helpful in their promoting of the KCBC across Canada and across Kazakhstan. And we welcome their support and their participation and their sponsorship. The presentations today will be about 8 to 10 minutes long. We urge our presenters, please, to keep an eye on the clock. I will be doing the same. I may be nudging you at some point if it's getting to be a little bit too long, but we want to make sure we have a chance for everyone to present, but also a chance for some discussion and some dialogue between us all. So that's important. For people who are as participants, please, there is a question and answer feature at the bottom. You are welcome to ask any questions on there. We will try to monitor some of them, and in a few moments we have, after each of the 2 parts, we'll try to address some of those. If we cannot answer those on the webinar today, we will follow up by email to individuals to try to answer your questions. The session today is being co-chaired by Mr. Aarij Bashir with the government of Alberta, and Mr. Beibit Yerubayev, who is with KazBeef in Kazakhstan, and they will sort of take us through the presentations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this event. It is my honor to be a co-chair for this event, as in the past, I have had the experience of working in Kazakhstan for the last 8 years. We have noticed tremendous opportunities in the area of livestock sector and ag tech that is all combining, as well as the crop technology. We have seen several Canadian companies who are very, very active in the market and have taken advantage of all the opportunities that are presented between Canada and Kazakhstan. The climate is very, very similar between the 2 regions. And we found that technologies that are developed here in Canada have done very well in the climate in Kazakhstan. So it is with great pleasure that I'm hosting this session with my counterpart in Kazakhstan, Beibit. Today we have a lineup of speakers that are going to share their experience of working in Kazakhstan and share some of the success stories that have come out of that relationship between the 2 countries. The purpose of this working group, again, is to identify further opportunities for enhanced cooperation between the 2 countries in the area of agriculture as well as ag tech, and also maybe highlight some of the challenges or issues being faced by the industry. The results of this working group will be shared with the leadership, of political as well as bureaucratic leadership on both sides, with the aim of changing policy or influencing policy change that will enhance or increase cooperation in the areas of agriculture as well as agriculture technology between the 2 countries. I wouldn't take too much time, so I would like my counterpart, co-chair, Beibit Yerubayev, from KazBeef to say a few words before we can kick off the session.
Aarij, thank you very, very much. Good morning, everyone, and good evening to our Kazakh partners. My name is, like Aarij said, Beibit. I am a general manager of KazBeef operations. So we started our company about 10 years ago by bringing cattle from the state of North Dakota, about 2,000 head of cattle, and we build a vertically integrated companies. As of now, we do have our cow-calf operation, we do have our own feedlot operation, and we do have our own packing plant as well. We also export our beef to Russia. We also export to other countries, and we're learning opportunity to export to China. And today my special, I guess everything starts with the genetics, and then it goes all the way to the feedlot where it all starts. And then we got to be efficient. And since 2019 July, we built a really modern facility, feedlot operation for 10,000 head, and we were able to partner up with our friends in Canada, Feedlot Health Management Service, and we've been very, very successful. I can mention that the KazBeef is representing as one of the most successful project in terms of technology transfer, even in situation of pandemic, when we got everything in lockdown, but our partners from Canada office were able to be involved in our operation almost 365 days and then 24/7. We've been communicating, we've been using a lot of technology, and as of now, I could definitely say that we are comparing ourselves to the not next feedlot in Kazakhstan, but next feedlot in Alberta or Canada. I guess, you know, Aarij could mention more details about our cooperation, but once again, I don't want to take a lot of time explaining what we've done so far, but I really wanted to mention that in the situation of pandemic, we've been very, very successful using the technologies that are available in the world. And today's agriculture in 21st century is definitely different than it was 10 years ago. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Beibit, for that introduction and showing us the relationship between Canada and Kazakhstan in the area of livestock genetics as well as technology. I think with that, we can start the formal portion of our agenda. The presentations today are divided into two groups. Group one is going to be 4 sets of presentations, followed by a brief 5-minute break, where the participants are going to be encouraged to ask Q&A. Please use the Q&A function on your screens to ask any questions, and we will share them with the panelists. Then we will move on to part 2. The way we have divided both parts is that the first part focuses more on crop and agriculture machinery technology, while the second part focuses on livestock genetics and related technologies in the sector. I would like to mention the cooperation between between the governments in Canada and Kazakhstan. The cooperation in this area of agriculture has been tremendous for the past decade or so. We enjoy a very close relationship, and we work together on several initiatives that have led to the development of both the crop as well as the livestock sector in both countries. Our ability to work very closely with the government has allowed our companies, as well as companies from Kazakhstan, to access opportunities and of learning, coordination and cooperation in the area of genetics, as well as winter pasture management, crop management, and other. Is Ms. Sabyr, who is the Deputy Director of Kazakh Invest. Please, Ms. Saule, go ahead and share your presentation.
Дорогие участники конференции, направления агрокультурного сектора. And welcome. Thank you for participation for invitation to participate in this event. My speech was supposed to follow Mr. DAIRBEKOV's speech, but he will join later. He will talk about the major directions in agriculture. But now I want to start my presentation with one of the key niches, which is related to the agricultural machinery. We need to state that as of today in Kazakhstan, we have the companies which work with such companies as Kirovets, Belarus, Vector, Akras, Amity, and produce the agricultural machinery. And we do have the projects which are under development, and we have negotiations with such big companies as Class, John Deere. But we need to state that as of today in Kazakhstan, the tear and wear of the machinery makes almost 80%. And the agricultural fleet is renewed only for 3% per year, but while we need 10% of it. And due to it, the country government made efforts in terms of introduction of preferences up to 25% of subsidy assistance in the amount of up to 20% of the amount of machinery. There is a special contract for machine building, which functions already 12 years, which includes customs duties preferences and the preferences on import. And the next slide, and here I want to draw your attention to the following, to the protection of the investor rights. In Kazakhstan, we do have the Foreign Investors Council, which is chaired by the president of our country, Mr. Tokayev. And also we do have the Coordination Council, which is chaired by Mr. Mamin, who is the Prime Minister for Kazakhstan. And also, we do have a special council on improvement of investment climate, which is under the government of Kazakhstan. In Astana International Financial Center, we do have a special court which functions under the common law, where foreign companies can register and work under the common law. The Prime Minister is the ombudsman while solving some investment-related issues which are specific to the project's implementation in Kazakhstan. You can address investment of ombudsman, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Kazakhstan. As for the Kazakh Invest activities, Kazakh Invest is a national company which is under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Kazakh Invest represents itself as a single negotiator on behalf of the government with foreign companies. We work in the format one-stop shop. What does it mean? It means that we start from initiation, from idea up to the project implementation. In each region, we have a office of Kazakh Invest. We have our rep offices abroad, and also Kazakh Invest provides analytical expertise, provides different types of information. When we work over the project, the potential investors can request and including questions, requests in requirements. After that, our project managers start to work on these questions. Some technical problem maybe. And then, if we talk about investment initiatives, we need to state that in Kazakhstan, based on the international standards, we have 13 special economic zones, and we do have 24 industrial zones. In the economic zones, we foresee the investment preferences such as the zero tax on corporate income tax, land tax, zero tax on VAT and customs duties preferences, and zero tax on land taxes on land plots. As for the state support, we need to state that while implementing the project, we foresee signing of the investment project and the investment priority. So When we sign this or that type of the contract, it means what would be the volume of the project, where it will be implemented, the total sum, and what the preferences will be granted to it by the Ministry of Agriculture, or the Ministry of Agriculture renders a number of supports, like reimbursement of 25% from the investments made. There is a resolution of the Minister of Agriculture which foresees 26 pass, and per each pass, but there is subsidization of up to 20%. As for the financial support, as for it, in Kazakhstan, we have 20 financial institutions with the involvement of the government, like Kazakh Fund of Direct Investments. Which comes to the equity projects on parity conditions, and there is the funding and participation of the Development Bank of Kazakhstan and the Bank of Development funds the projects at the average rate of funding, which totals to 6% per annual. We needed to speak about Samruk Kazna Invest, which is also included in the project capital as an option, and after the implementation of the project, they sell their share to the other partner or to the other partner with the project. And we work closely with international banks like the World Bank, ADB, Citibank. And as for the work of Kazakh Invest itself, we need to state that every year Kazakh Invest, through participation of the advanced companies such as Deloitte, PwC, we work over the investment proposals. We look through them. What does it mean? Investment proposals are included in business plans, financial models, and teasers. Then the projects are worked on with the Kazakhstani partners, with the most active Kazakhstani partners, which have already their businesses established, but they interested in greenfield or brownfield implementations, projects implementations. By the end of 2020, we expect for implementation of 4 projects in Almaty region, in Khargos, construction of the facility on fertilizers. In the northern part, in Kostanay region, a plant to produce beef meat, and 2 projects in crops development in the southern regions of Kazakhstan. And also, we need to state that while making the projects and implement the projects, we start from the idea. We work with the representatives in regions, and the project managers will be involved, and we involve financial institutions. Thus, all together, we work over the project until the finalization of the project and until the project is implemented. And I think that this information will make you get interested. And so Minister of Agriculture will talk in 7 minutes, and to follow what I have already said, and he will talk about the major directions in the agro-industrial complex. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much for that presentation and giving us an overview of the investment climate in Kazakhstan and some of the major projects in the agriculture sector that Kazakh Invest has undertaken. I think so we have probably established connection with the Vice Minister in Kazakhstan. It is very interesting. We're talking about agriculture and ag technology, but we're still facing some technical difficulties here. So that shows there's still a lot of way to go forward in making that connection between the 2 countries. So with that, I would like to ask the Vice Minister of Ministry of Agriculture in Kazakhstan, Mr. Nurbek DAIRBEKOV, to please share his presentation with us.
Good day, dear participants of the working group. Unfortunately, Vice Minister of Agriculture, DAIRBEKOV Nurbek, was not able to join this meeting. Let me, on behalf of him and on behalf of the Minister of Agriculture, to tell you about the activities of the Ministry of Agriculture, and I am Maksat Zhanabayev, and I am the Director of the Department of International Cooperation and the Investment Attraction of the Ministry of Agriculture. Let me start with my speech. Kazakhstan is one of the most attractive countries for investments to the agricultural complex, while having various types of nature resources and having the advantageous position between the biggest markets, Russia and China. Kazakhstan is a regional food production hub. Given that we have this potential, it will become the biggest food producing hub, and while being the biggest producer of agricultural products. The political and economic stability of the Republic is one of the basic fundamentals of interest to investments to agriculture. We implement the state program for development of agricultural sector, which foresees support to producers and processors of agricultural products. Kazakhstan, which provides wide opportunities to invest in agricultural sector. And for it, we have all opportunities, 200 hectares of agricultural pastures, advantageous agricultural position, access to the biggest markets. They support governmental support measures, investment incentives, protection of the rights of investments, financial opportunities, vast opportunities across the subsectors. Let me focus in detail on these advantages. The arable lands in the Republic of Kazakhstan makes more than 200 million hectares and pastures around 20 million hectares. The pastures around 180 million hectares, ranking number 5 worldwide, and 110 million are under the ground and ground waters. And the area of irrigated lands makes 2.2 million hectares, and we plan to increase up to 3 million hectares by the year 2030. One of the key advantages of Kazakhstan is its advantageous position between Europe and Asia, which preconditions its transport logistic potential, and in strategic terms, it connects big markets growing fast in China and the Middle East and Western Europe. The existing infrastructure integrated the country in the global structure and ensured the transit route between Europe and Asia. That's why Kazakhstan is called the Belt and Road, because the logistics and transport route along the Silk Way promotes to trade between East and West. As of today, the agriculture of Kazakhstan is exported to more than 70 countries of the world, and every year the near countries import considerable volumes of grain and oil products, vegetables, fruit, milk, dairy products, and processed products. Kazakhstan has direct access to the market and of more than 0.7 consumers, including the countries of Central Asia, Caspian Basin countries, and we have carried out the work to open new export areas for Kazakhstani agricultural products. For instance, the China market is open for a wide range of Kazakhstani products. We don't have any barriers to supply to the Persian Gulf countries of beef and dairy products, and in order to open access to foreign markets, we plan to have negotiations with Israel, Japan, South Korea, and with EU countries. In order to develop the sector and to stimulate flow investments, we foresee the governmental support for agribusiness, as our colleagues from Kazakh Invest has already mentioned about it. That's why let me brief you shortly about the scheme of reinvestment of part of the investment costs for in the agriculture, which totals to 25%, and the previous soft crediting on working capital. We foresee subsidization, which is for increasing the yield on seeds, herbicides, and to increase productivity of animal, effectivity of agriculture, and quality of product produced. For instance, subsidization to buy heads of cattle makes up to 930 USD per one cattle head for milk production, for meat production, per head of sheep from 35 up to $350 per head. And a complex of investment preferences was also foreseen, as a colleague from the Kazakh Invest said. So it's tax privileges on corporate income tax and land plot taxes, tax privileges for 8 years, and others. Based on the advanced world practices, we do have 13 specialized economic zones and 24 industrial zones. And my colleague from Kazakh Invest talked about it in detail. That's why let me pass over to the next slide. We need to state that Kazakhstan proposes a wide spectrum of instruments to finance projects. We have more than 20 financial institutions with government participation for financing of the primary sectors in Kazakhstan, like Kazagro, and my colleague from Kazakh Invest talked about it in detail, and let's pass over to the next slide. Well, after having analyzed our advantages, we identified the priority areas in this sector, which are related to import replacement, development of export of agricultural products. This is production of milk, meat and dairy, processing of fruit and vegetables and hot green vegetables, processing of oil, seeds, production of organic products, which from every year on is gaining popularity in the regions and worldwide. As one of the key drivers in the agro-industrial complex, we developed the program for development of cattle and sheep breeding up to 20, based on which we plan to have 15 million heads of cattle, which means to increase twice. As for the sheep, up to 30 million heads, or we shall increase it twice, which enables within the next 6 years to increase volume of export of meat, like beef up to 1 million and mutton up to 2 million per year. Subsidies are foreseen to buy heads of cattle, which makes up to $930 per one head of cattle for meat and milk production. As for the sheep, from 35 up to $350. The long-term program of development of the meat production foresees that in 10 years we shall create 80,000 of family farms, which will deal and get engaged in cattle breeding, and they will work with meat processing facilities, and the availability of pastures and forage makes it possible. But we have all conditions. We have stable partners. That's why this sector is very attractive for investments. And also we do have a potential to produce dairy products. In average in Kazakhstan, every year we produce around 4 million tons of raw milk. But it's not enough to satisfy the needs internally and to go to export. We subsidize
on cattle breeding and on improving the quality of dairy products, and we support the enterprises to processing raw milk. And starting from 2020, based on this program, the subsidies to produce the butter will total to 15 cents per 1 kilo, cheese up to 10 cents per 1 kilogram, dry milk up to 6 cents per 1 kilo of dry milk. And also we make cheaper the cost of milk production through providing subsidies to the producers up to 10 cents per one sold kilogram of milk. And one incentive for development is opening of access to the Chinese market. And China imports around 2 million tons of milk and dairy products per year. Kazakhstan is the biggest producer of grain crops and flour. Every year we produce around 19-20 million tons of grain, 19-20 million per year, flour 3-8 million tons. There is a high potential in the processing of wheat with getting the gluten and gluten and starch, and we have such facilities where they produce starch and sweeteners, and they are in high demand in the markets. And but to ensure the processing of it, we for it we have the markets, we have all the necessary things in place. We have the support measures on the government, including the soft loans and credits. And one of the biggest export areas is oilseed processing. Now, area under oilseed plants makes around 3 million hectares. And that we plan to increase the areas in the nearest years. Kazakhstan has all competencies to grow sunflower, safflower, rapeseed. By seed and production of it, we are ranking #1, and where we have the market of China close to us, which has the demand for such products, and production of vegetables and processing of vegetables and fruit has also high perspectives. We have huge reserves to grow fruit gardens. There is a huge potential here in Kazakhstan. We shall do it on the new lands. We can have forestries to grow, plant trees, and we have capacity to process the fruit and berries in order to increase the yield for such gardens. We foresee a partial reimbursement of course up to 50% to buy plants, young plants. So without taking into account purchasing of the equipment. And also we compensate the costs on water delivery, and the subsidies per 1 cubic meter of supplied water is established on a differentiated basis based on the tariffs. And one more perspective initiative to attract investment is creation of hotbeds, and hotbed vegetables are in high demand, not only domestically, but at the external markets. And thus, Russia imports around 700,000 tons of hot green vegetables every year. And we have the program of intensive gardening in southern regions of Kazakhstan and hot green facilities across the whole Kazakhstan. In order to develop hotbed industry, we foresee subsidization for costs of fertilizers, except for organic ones, the pesticides and reagents and irrigation water supply. All these measures of state support create the favorable investment climate for investors. The ministry, based on its mandate, is ready to support with the project starting from the idea up to the turnkey projects. And we invite, dear colleagues, we invite you to invest in the agro-industrial complex. We are open for the dialogue. Thank you for your attention. I tried to be brief. I hope I made it on time. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much for that presentation. I think so it talks about what Kazakhstan has done in the past few years to improve and increase the productivity in the agriculture sector. I think so now we will move on to the industry side of the presentation. We have Vitaliy from Bourgault, and who would like to talk about the experience they've had working in Kazakhstan. Bourgault is one of the leading companies in Canada that have been active in Kazakhstan for a number of years. And yeah, it would be great to hear from them. Vitaliy, please go ahead.
Good morning or evening to everyone. I hope you hear me well. So unfortunately, our territory manager, Vladimir Chayka, could not manage to join us. He's right now in Kazakhstan, busy with some meetings. So I will represent the company by my own. I will share the presentation. Just a second. All right, so Bourgault Industries was established in 1974 by Frank Bourgault, who was a farmer, and he was working as a equipment mechanic for Massey Ferguson. He got a lot of experience with the machines, and his goal was to create a perfect cultivator. So that's how everything started. The first cultivator was designed in 1973, and since then Bourgault grown as a huge company. So Bourgault Industries has more than 45 years of experience. Since then, we built a strong dealership network all over the world. We started to work in Kazakhstan in 2002. And since then, every year we regularly organize and participate in all kinds of agriculture seminars, service trainings, and field days. Nowadays, Bourgault produces a really wide range of equipment. Main is hoe and coulter drills, also air seeders. Mid-row bender was probably the most significant equipment development in Bourgault history. It was released in 1995, and at this moment, over 90% of the drills that we sell in Canada are already equipped with MRBs, and more than half we sell in Kazakhstan equipped with MRBs. Also, we produce a wide range of field management equipment, as well as grain carts and liquid fertilizer carts. I will run quickly through our main products. So hoe drills, that's 3330 and 3335. Since as farming conditions in Canada and Kazakhstan are very similar, all Bourgault units perform very, very well in Kazakhstan. Soon we will be close to 1,000 units running all over the country. And some units are already more than 10 years old and working just perfectly. 3420 is basically the same unit as 3330 hoe drill, but the main difference is that it has more than 30 meters working width. Then we have a coulter drills, 3720 and 3820. 3820 is our new product, and its main difference from 3720 and its main advantage is that it can be equipped with the revolutionary system air planter. Air planter is a system that can allow to use a single drill for to plant as well as to seed. Frame mounted seeder is also one of our new products, but it's mostly designed mostly for European market, because in Europe they have a very strict restrictions for the transport width. So it has just 3 meter transport width. And 5810 is air hoe drill that we started to produce many years ago, and basically we are not changing the construction so much because it recommended itself very, very well for many years. At this moment, we produce 3 different types of hoe openers with different contour ratio to fit all kinds of conditions, and 2 different types of coulter openers. And PLR is a absolutely new coulter opener that can also be equipped with the air planter system. Then we move to air seeders. Now we have new series, 8000 series and 9000 series. 8000 series is built on the base of 6000 and 9000 on the base of 7000, which have been produced for many years and performs very, very well. It has a lot of innovative features to fit all conditions. MRB system. MRB system helps farmers to apply all the needed amounts of nitrogen and sulfur fertilizers while seeding. MRB openers are installed between each second seed opener to make sure that fertilizers are on a safe distance from the seeds. We also produce a lot of equipment for the field management, such as harrows, cultivators, chisel plows, and soil preparation system. We also produce grain carts and liquid fertilizer carts. I would also like to say a few words about Highline. Highline is a company that is wholly owned by Bourgault since 2006, and Highline is focused on mostly on the livestock industry equipment. Highline was created in the 1960s, and it started with it was focused on just on a rock picker, but since then it was developed to a bigger company, and now Highline produces bale processors, bale movers, rock pickers, movers, and Highline new product is a feed mixer. Highline is very famous for its CFR system that contains of 3 components that help farmers to create a perfect feeding for the cows. It contains from the Bale Pro, the feed chopper, and the grain tank. Firstly, the bale is mixed with the grains, and then the feed chopper mixes everything together to create to blend it and mix into a correct ratio. And the feed mixer is a new product of Highline that was released just last year in Canada. and we're expecting it next year for the export. Basically, it has a very strong 300 horsepower engine, high clearance, huge tires, and it can work in any conditions, even the toughest, like in Kazakhstan.
Excuse me, Mr. Praylov, can you bring it to a close fairly soon?
Sorry?
Can you bring it to a close? Your presentation, it's
Yeah,
time.
That's it. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you, Vitaliy, for that presentation on Bourgault. I know that you have been, a lot of this equipment has been, is in use in the fields of Kazakhstan right now, so we appreciate that. Moving on, we will have the next speaker is Mr. Andrey Semin from a company called Valmetal that also has experience working in Kazakhstan. Andrey, please go ahead and share your presentation.
Hello, colleagues, please let me know if you can hear me well and the presentation is on. Yeah, if everything is okay. Can you confirm?
Yes, we can hear you. We can see the presentation. Go ahead.
Fine. My name is Andrey Semin. I'm a territory manager of Valmetal Group with the responsibility zone of Russian Federation and Kazakhstan Republic. And on my presentation, actually, I would like to cover some information regarding the company. Unfortunately, as moderator said, we have experience in anyhow, I will go through this. Valmetal company consists from 6 factories, but mainly we are speaking about 4 of them that we...
Excuse me, Andrey, we're not able to hear you, Andrey. Your mic has gone off.
Can you hear me now? Sorry, can you hear me now, colleagues?
Yes, now we can hear you again.
Okay, but I did nothing. Probably there are some problems with the connection, but sorry for that. So, briefly saying about our mission as a Valmetal company. So, saying with the simple words, our mission is to be close with the farmers, yeah? And mainly we are focusing on dairy farming. So, we are part of dairy farmers. Our equipment is going to be used on the dairy farmers, on the dairy farms, and actually with our production we try to cover 3 main directions on farms. Is feeding. So we all know that if cow need to produce the milk, so of course we should feed her quite a good way. Direction number 2 is a manure management, because it's another side, I would say, of the cows. Yeah, but anyhow, we should cover it, because otherwise our farm is going to be sink on the manure. And the direction number 3 is a waste management. Is actually about what to do with the manure produced by cows on the farm. Should we just throw it away, or we can transport it and deliver it to the field like a fertilizer, or we can do even maybe something more smart, yeah, to make a profit with the manure what we have. So several words about the history. As a company, we started in 1979, and Valmetal company is established as a family company and owned as a family company, and more than 40 years has been done, but still nothing has changed. So that's good to understand, and there is a stability, and the name is Valmetal. So as I said, we started almost 40 years ago, and started as a parts and components production for different industries. But of course, we started as well trying to produce some custom-made machinery for agriculture. So, who we are right now? Right now, as I already mentioned, we have 6 factories, And if we are trying to calculate the total staff in US and in Canada, so it will be more than 500 employees. Right now, we are represented in more than 25 countries. And as I told, I'm responsible for Russia and Kazakhstan, and personally, I am located in the Moscow region. We have about 150 dealers all around the world. Right now, my task is develop the number of dealers in Russia and Kazakhstan. About history and about some experience what we already have had in Russia and in Kazakhstan. So I would say we are not new. Yeah? We are not new on the Russian market, and we are not new on the Kazakhstan market. What I mean here is actually the part of our equipment produced on the James Wave factory is up and running more than 10 years on the different farms, either in Russia and in Kazakhstan. We started our first equipment in Russia in 2006 on a Tatarstan Republic and on a Red East Holding. Probably some of you know that was on the beginning of 2000. It was quite a famous holding. And so since that time, we installed and up and running more than 300 scraper systems. So it's a kind of this equipment. You can see it on the picture. And more than 200 pieces of manual pumps are working in Russia. So when it comes to Kazakhstan, I can say that we equipped about 10 farms with our manual handling equipment. The only thing I would like to highlight here, so what we can see on the Russian farms and the Kazakhstan farms right now, it's not a red color but blue color, because we supply it through the DAIRBEKOV brand. So it's absolutely the same equipment produced on our factory, but sold via DAIRBEKOV and painted not originally red but by blue. Direction number one, the feeding of cows. So it's quite an important thing. So to have quite a good yield on a farm, we know that we need to feed our cows quite a good way, and so to make a cow give us about 30, 35, maybe even 40 liters of milk daily, we need to prepare for her 45, 50, 55 kilos of quite a good forage. So considering this, we can say that if we are saying about cost of production of 1 liter per milk daily, so 60% of it is feed. That's why it's quite a crucial point, and that's why we should be quite accurate and quite smart here. So about our solution, what we are offering here, the equipment range is quite large, and it starts with the typical mixer wagons, what you see at the left corner. Yeah, and we are proud to say that we launched and successfully worked in the equipment which we call as an automated feed kitchen. And the big difference that it's quite a new trend, and the advantages of this solution is actually we can guarantee the quality of the feed, and we almost avoid any human factor on the farm. I mean, when we cook, when we prepare the forage for our animals. Direction number two, as I mentioned, is the manual handling. So I do hope that everybody from you knows that cow produce not only milk, but the manure as well. And you know, if we compare these two figures, so if cow produce 30 liters of milk daily, then at the same time she produced 60-65 liters of manure. So it's almost double figure, and you know, sorry for this joke, but we can easily call dairy farm like a manure farm, considering the quantity of it. So anyhow, we should handle, we should carry this quantity of manure daily, and we can do it manually by a tractor, or we can use automatic systems like you can see here on the right picture using scrapers. Again, we can avoid the human factory here, and we can do it anytime we would like to make a floor as clean as possible here on our farms. But the next step is what to do with this manure. So if we have a 60-65 liters daily from one cow, so you can imagine, so if it's 1,000 cows, so it's quite a serious volume of a manure we produce each day. And what to do with such kind of volume of manure? Yes, we can transport it, we can deliver it directly to the field, and using it like a fertilizer for our earth. But we can do even smarter. We can do even I would say more optimal way is produce bedding material for our cows from this manure. And it's true, and we already realized more than 100 projects in the US and in Canada. And this is picture from Russia in Econivo Holding. We have realized together 10 projects, more than 3,000 cows each of them. And the idea, I'm not going to describe right now for you whole technological process, but the idea is to get wet manure as an input. And this material, what we can see on a picture as a bedding material on a cow field, because it's possible, it works, and from a cost from the cost of manure and of equipment, it is quite a optimal way. And actually, the payback period for such kind of equipment is not more than 2 years, but the result is actually we have quite a comfortable bedding. Cows are laying and having rest about 12 to 14 hours per day, like they should. So the result is really great. If we see the picture like this, that cow is laying down, then everything is okay. The stalling is comfortable, and the cow will provide us with the milk. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope I was on my time frame. My coordinates, my contacts here on the presentation, and what we are looking for right now is actually for reliable partners on Kazakhstan territory. So for any company or any organization who can work with us, and we can work with them to realize the project that I briefly described. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Andrey. This was an interesting presentation, and the use of technology applicable to Kazakhstan. As you can see, we had like a 5-minute question and answer session built into our agenda, but since we are already behind schedule, we are still taking your questions, so please use the Q&A feature on your screens to ask questions. We will answer them at the end of the agenda. So moving on, I think so we would like to introduce Dr. Aarij Behlke from Feedlot Health Management Services. Dr. Aarij has worked with KazBeef, and we'll get to know more about their partnership in this presentation.
Hello, everyone, and thanks very much for the opportunity here. I am a partner with Feedlot Health Management Services, and we recently became a part of the agricultural digital networking group TELUS Agriculture, so a very exciting partnership there. And we have been working with KazBeef directly on their feedlot. As Beibit alluded to, our first on-site visit was July 2019, and it's been a very successful relationship since that time. Want to step back before we get into the details of the interaction with KazBeef and talk specifically about Feedlot Health and our company and what we do. Our original expertise is cattle feeding in Western Canada. Depicted here is a very classic feedlot setup in Western Canada. These are about 250 head pens. This particular site has about 20,000 head on site. You see a very large silage pit there in the middle of the screen, a very technologically advanced barley processing mill at the forefront of the screen there, and on the far left side, again, a very technologically advanced processing barn. This is a very high-tech feedlot in Western Canada, and if we were to take a drone and fly over KazBeef right now, it would not look a lot different. So that's just kind of wanted to make that comparison for everybody. A little bit more about Feedlot Health Management Services. Our company was founded in 1983 by Dr. Key Jim, and we provide subscription-based services to feedlots and calf grower operations in Canada, the United States, Mexico, Brazil, and in Kazakhstan. And we have an annual throughput of client operations of about 4 million head per year. So that's how many cattle will go through our system each year. And there at the bottom is a picture of Canada, and the star represents where our office is located. This map depicts where all of our clients are located. So as I alluded to previously, we have clients all across the world. The blue dots depict feedlots or backgrounder operations in which calves calves for beef are grown. The orange dots represent calf grower operations in which dairy calves are brought in at a day old and then grown to 250 to 300 pounds. And then the green dots represent dairy operations. I want to draw your attention to the bottom left, and that is our one client that is in Kazakhstan, and actually the only client in the whole Eurasian area. And that would be about, Beibit could correct me, but based off my recollection, about 100 kilometers to the west of Shchuchensk. For everybody that's in Kazakhstan, that gives you a good idea as to where that is located. So again, really it's currently the only client that we were working with in the Eurasia area. Pictured here is our team at Feedlot Health. And this is a team, the top 3 rows are all of our professional consultants. All of these consultants are doctors of veterinary medicine, or they have a doctorate of philosophy in animal science, and some of them have both. And then below the top 3 rows is the support staff, and this is the staff that helps the consultants, assimilates all the information that we need to help provide our clients to help make decisions. And what's really cool about this slide here is it's a large team, and in some way, shape, or form, every person here has had interactions with KazBeef, located literally on the other side of the world, have had interactions with KazBeef, and this has been achieved through technology transfer and the technology transfer that has been set up between Kazakhstan and Canada. So we think that's a pretty important feat, and has really benefited KazBeef through that process. So I used a little bit of time there, and again, they have really drilled into us that we have to stay within our 10-minute time frame. So that's really all that I'm going to share about the specifics of Feedlot Health. Again, that's a very high-level overview, but if anybody's interested in more details, we've got a lot more to share with you. Going to focus now on our relationship with KazBeef. This is a picture that we're pretty fond of, and this picture was taken last July 2019, and I believe that this was the day that the KazBeef logo was actually put up on the brand new processing barn there. And just an amazing photo all the way around. But what's really cool is this next slide, is if we move inside of the processing barn, we were there as a Canadian company. We had boots on the ground, literally, in Kazakhstan. And this is one of our information technology team leads, Dr. Brian Wildman there, and he is installing the computer monitor. And if you look at that, this picture really represents a lot, and it really highlights the technology transfer that is essential to communicating with Kazakhstan. This barn was just built, and if you look in the background, one of the construction workers is literally wheeling out the last of the construction materials. This barn was just built, and before one calf put one hoof in this barn, we had the computer system installed. The technology was installed before one calf went through the barn. And I think that really highlights the importance and highlights this relationship that we've had with KazBeef as a Canadian company. We did realize the importance of everybody understanding this, because yes, we can transfer the technology, but if we can't get the workers to comply with it, then it's all for naught. So we immediately transferred this into Russian. So everybody, that is using the Russian translation probably understands what this is. So this is our chute side data collection software. And immediately after the commencement of our relationship with KazBeef, we did translate that software into Russian, and it just really highlights our commitment to making this relationship work in Kazakhstan. So I'm going to back up. We've talked a little bit about KazBeef, and now I'm going to combine everything, the Feedlot Health Company with KazBeef, and I'm going to talk about our approach to providing value to clients, which is what we've done with KazBeef. So we provide production consulting services to calf growers and feedlots around the world, as showed on the previous map. The different services we provide are focused on these primary areas: animal health, feeds and feeding, performance enhancement products, individual animal management, procurement and marketing, and animal and facility certification and design. We provide those with a variety of different technological tools. Talk a little bit more about some of these, but our proprietary chute side data recording system, which you previously saw that had been translated into the Russian language, is Feedlot Health's IFHMS. We use digital imaging to monitor what is happening. We have several databases such as Pecora to manage all of the data that comes into our office. We developed a proprietary sorting mechanism to help clients manage individual animals called dynamic sort or D-sort. We use near-infrared spectrophotometry, different carcass feeding and non-feedlot health databases, a lot of data collection software that allows us to do daily monitoring, analysis, and production oversight. So that's how we provide our services. We also have an ongoing research and development department, which is a very important part of our business. We use, different literature reviews, data modeling exercises, pilot studies, and large-scale commercial feedlot and calf grower trials to identify different ideas and new technologies that might be a good fit for our clients. So once those ideas come to fruition, then we test them through the various models, and we assess morbidity and mortality, so sickness and death, feedlot performance in the eyes of average daily gain and dry matter conversion, and also carcass attributes. We then put those into a bioeconomic model, and we use the results of that model to make modifications to the recommendations based on the service modules that different clients subscribe to. It takes that whole team that I showed you on the previous slide and a lot of software and a lot of support and different tools and infrastructures to provide that. And that is the client-specific value proposition that we brought to KazBeef, and that is the Feedlot Health approach. So, like I said, we have a lot of software tools, and we're kind of focused on technology transfer. We talked about the data collection software that is chute side, and it's in Russian, and that allows us to monitor what happens at KazBeef 365 days a year. All of those data are housed in our warehouse here in Canada, but those data that is collected chute side in Kazakhstan synchronize with our database every day of the year. And that allows for two-way communication, because then every day we can push protocol updates, system updates, different pricing back to Kazakhstan, again, 365 days a year. We use several different platforms to communicate with Beibit. Beibit and I are communicating via WhatsApp, via phone call, text message, email, literally on a daily basis. Here's some examples. We have our own proprietary website. Every animal that dies is diagnosed by a veterinarian in Canada. So animals that die in Kazakhstan, we have a real-time diagnosis, and again, monitoring of all of the different feedlot variables that does occur because of the technology transfer. Because those data replicate, every morning I wake up, I get a dashboard. This is blurred out. You won't really see the specifics of this. But every animal that is treated in every pen on every one of our clients' feedlots, so KazBeef is included in this, but feedlots all around the world, animals that arrive, animals that get sick, what they were treated with. When I wake up, we get to look at this dashboard, and this type of technology is used to transfer our expertise in this domain back to boots on the ground, or Beibit and his feedlot workers. So what we have pictured here is this is KazBeef. And what is amazing about this is I know our next speaker is Lisa Rumsfeld, and she has seen feedlots all over the world. Honestly, when you look at this, this is probably the most advanced feedlot in Kazakhstan. And I mean, Lisa wouldn't be able to tell the difference between this and a feedlot anywhere in North America, which is where the feeding industry started and is probably the gold standard for the feedlot industry. So what Beibit and his team have done is nothing short of amazing in Kazakhstan, and we are very proud to be partnered with him to help him keep this feedlot functioning and operating at a very high level. And now as I conclude here, this is what's most important, is we can transfer the technology, we can transfer the domain expertise, but it really comes down to the people. So here, myself and one of my partners, Dr. Calvin Booker, were pictured with Beibit and Yerner of the Cousteau group. And yes, we can transfer the technology, we can communicate, but what this tech transfer allows us to do is stay connected with the people, stay connected with not only the ownership and the accounting side, but most importantly, stay connected with the people that are managing the cattle and to help keep those cattle healthy and to help keep them performing at their optimal level. So our value proposition is we have a lot of expertise and a lot of technology, and that keeps feedlots and calf grower operations all around the world improving the net profitability by optimizing cattle health, nutrition, production, and adopting new knowledge based on the large pen research studies. And Aarij, that really concludes what I have to say about feedlot health and this phenomenally successful relationship with Beibit and KazBeef.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Eric. I think so. This shows how the relationship between Canada and Kazakhstan has grown over the years, from exporting live animals about 10 years ago to now exporting technology. And KazBeef is an example of one of the leaders in Kazakhstan that is adopting this technology. That is also a very good segue to our next speaker, Lisa Rumsfeld and Dauren Matakbayev, who are going to talk about Growsafe's partnership with the Kazakh Agbaz Association.
Okay, hi everyone. Can you hear me fine? Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. And Eric, yes, I fully agree with you. KazBeef operation is beautiful. Congratulations on what you and David have built there with the rest of the team. Let me just get my screen here going up. Great. So thanks again for allowing me to join along with Dauren and share our experience so far. Before I jump in, similarly, I just want to introduce who Growsafe and Vitaliy are, and then talk a bit about our experience. Recently, I would mention that Growsafe has combined with Vitaliy, which was a portfolio company through our parent company, and so we are operating as one group now under the Vitaliy name. I will tell you a little bit about what Vitaliy does, and then Dauren and I can share the current project that we have with the Kazakh Agbaz Association, where he is the CEO, and share some of the impacts that we are hoping to make with this project. And I will try to speak a little bit slower so the translators can keep up. So Dauren, are you there? I don't see you.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I'm here. Lisa, please proceed.
Okay. Okay. I am the Vice President of Commercial Operations for Vitaliy, which means I manage all of our customer-facing and commercial activities for the business outside of the North American market. Dauren, do you want to introduce yourself to the group, that for those that don't know you?
Sure. Thank you very much, Lisa. So my name is Dauren Matakbayev. I'm the CEO of Kazakh Agbaz Association. In Russian, it's going to be исполнительный директор Республиканской палаты казахской беловой породы. This is one of our biggest association in Kazakhstan, and I'm very glad to be here. Thank you.
Great. So if I jump and give you the high-level overview about Vitaliy, we are a precision livestock company, and our goal is to really reshape how cattle producers can unlock performance on their animals. And what we do within our company is through our technologies, we're helping producers fast forward genetic progress. Within our company, we have 3 technology platforms. We have our Growsafe technology platform, which allows us to capture individual animal feed intake and weight data in the pens. We have our IVF platform called Vitaliy, which is an in vitro fertilization technology. And with that technology, we put labs in country and in regions, and we help with reproduction progress. And our third technology platform in Vitaliy is our Synomics platform, and that is a artificial intelligence platform that will allow us to really combine all of the phenotypic data, genetic insights, environment, performance data to be able to combine that information to provide more insights for producers making high-stake genetic decisions. So those are the 3 technology platforms that we have within Vitaliy. If I jump to the Growsafe platform, which is the technology platform that we are working with Dauren and the association with today, what that is it's a Canadian-based company, hence this great collaboration that we have. And it is a platform of livestock monitoring solutions. And so we bring together hardware, software, analytics, and service around that platform with producers to collect and understand data. Over the years, we have built the largest multi-breed efficiency database through Growsafe's data platform. And this is one of the really amazing things that we have done in partnership with various producers on a global scale. And one of our goals that we're working with Dauren and the Kazakh Akbas Association is to be able to not only contribute to that database, but use the information. So a really nice high-level visual about what our technology looks like. We've got 2 hardware platforms. We've got a platform where we collect individual animal feed intake data, and a hardware where we collect individual animal performance data. So basically daily weights. We collect data on these animals, and we collect millions of data points on a single animal on a single day. We crunch all of that data, process it, and we send it up through our communication panels to the cloud, where our software and our analytics come in and really take that data. And then we provide through our software and our dashboards really daily alerts, key information points for producers to make decisions. So it's a very, very it's a closed loop where we're collecting the data, we're analyzing the data, and we're providing insight out back to our customers. Looking ahead about the collaboration that we're doing with the Kazakh Akbas Association, which has been about a 2-year collaboration project going on, which I'm very happy to report in the last few weeks we've just successfully implemented. And so let me share a little bit about that. What we're really working on is this technology transfer, similar to what Aarij has talked about. How can we build a strong ecosystem with the Vitaliy technology platforms and with the association and the membership? And there's a lot of areas that we can impact, whether it be feed efficiency, marketing cattle more efficiently, verifying and validating efficient practices, and then reproduction to be able to fast forward genetic progress. So there's a lot of lofty ambitions there, and if we just focus on the first phase of this collaboration, it's all around feed efficiency. And so I like this visual because you know, feed efficiency is something that we can't see. We need to actually measure feed efficiency to be able to select for it and to be able to improve it. And I would note that there's about a 25% plus or minus range within a breed and also across a breed in terms of feed efficiency. And that's what we're trying to get to by using technology to identify animals that are more efficient than others. Practically speaking, how we're doing this, and this is a high-level overview on the left side of the chart as to how a pen would look with the hardware deployed, and on the right-hand side, you actually see some images from our farms in Kazakhstan. And so we put in our feed intake technology and our weighing technology, and we run trials, feed efficiency trials, where we collect that performance and growth data as well as intake data on the animals that are in the trial over a period of time. And so we are we're collecting this data, and what Growsafe works with is a trait called residual feed intake. And I don't want to have a science presentation, but just wanted to give a small flavor again as to what we're trying to do with these trials. If you compare two animals to each other, what we're trying to do is identify those animals that have gained, have eaten less for the same level of growth. And that's really the very high level message about what we're trying to do by running these trials. So each of the farms that we've implemented our technology, they will run feed efficiency trials and collect this data over a period of time on their animals. And then we will collaboratively work with the farms to use the data. So everything that we do is on a standardized protocol. So it means that what's happening in Kazakhstan is the same thing that's happening all over the globe where Growsafe collaborates. And then we will work with the association to provide expected progeny difference values for their breeding stock, and that they will use to make selection decisions and to improve the efficiency of the herd going forward. So just in wrapping it up to give you a view as to where we are deployed at the moment is you can see we've got 4 sites across Kazakhstan, in West Kazakhstan, in near Nur-Sultan, in Pavlodar, and in Shalabai. And as I mentioned, we just recently finished the installation, and I would make a huge shout out to both the ministries in Kazakhstan as well as the team in Canada that were really helpful in a COVID situation, making sure that we got visas and we got into the country. So another really good example of collaborating together to make this program happen. Here's a nice view of the different sites. You can see Dauren up there. He personally went to each farm with the Growsafe team who we sent over to do the installation, and everybody on the farm was really involved to learn about the hardware, to help install it, and to really understand it. Because it's one thing to put technology in, but you need full engagement across the board to make it a true success. And I would mention that the Growsafe team, similar to what Eric mentioned about Feedlot Health, is that we're monitoring the systems and communicating back and forth with the farmers on a daily basis. And so in summary, and I'm going to ask Dauren to comment here at this point, but we've got a tremendous opportunity to make some impacts in terms of raising the awareness and the interest of the Kazakh Akbas breed on a global scale, develop the efficiency of their top-tier breeding partners. We've installed capacity to test up to 2,000 animals a year, which is a really good baseline to start for selection. We will publish validated and verified data for people to use and to really understand the capabilities of the Kazakh Akbas breed and try to shift the mentality to database-driven production. the marketing campaigns and research we will also do together. And I would just say, you know, selecting for feed efficiency there's a really nice sustainability bow that you put around that. And so we can achieve savings of up to 12% of feed reduction. And that is linearly correlated to methane output. So there's opportunities to reduce methane and manure. So, you know, we start with identifying a feed efficient genetics, and there'll be other traits and measurements that we can verify and validate to tell the story of the breed. So Dauren, do you want to jump in and give any input there about the project?
Sure, thank you very much, Lisa. It was a wonderful presentation, I think. So I just wanted to catch up people who probably not from the livestock sector, that one of the challenges that we facing right now with Kazakh Abbas breed is that the so-called Soviet Union old system of cattle valuation is not applicable anymore, because the West world is already in EPDs, and they go on even deeper genomics and this kind of stuff. And we faced a lot of challenges in collecting good data. And after I visited several countries from like 7 years from now, etc., I just realized that we had to bring some over news and modern technology to Kazakhstan and started from all over, because as in our long way to conquer the world and to present our beef to everybody, especially our east neighbors like China, etc., we need to prove them that our product is efficient and it's literally one of the best. That's why we introduced this technology, and I'm really grateful for my board of directors that they supported me in this. And yeah, this is just a new step, and I really would like to take my gratitude to Aarij Bashir, because he was helping us from that side, from Canadian side, and to the ambassador of Kazakhstan in Canada and his team, because they've also been very supportive. So in general, I hope this project could help us to bring all this breed, all this market to total different level. And that's all from my side.
Okay, likewise from my side. Thank you again for the opportunity to share this project and the successful collaboration.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa and Dauren. I think so. That kind of brings us to the end of the industry presentation, but you can see that there has been a lot of collaboration, a lot of opportunities, and looking at the development in both the crop and the livestock sector in Kazakhstan, I'm sure there's a lot of room for companies to get engaged with Kazakhstan and take advantage of the opportunities that are presented there. Now, our final speaker is Mr. Fred Gorell, who is the Assistant Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. Fred was very influential in getting the live cattle access to Kazakhstan, and he has been at the forefront of the development of the livestock sector, or the engagement between Canadian and Kazakhstan livestock sector. So I'll pass it on to Fred to say a few words and closing remarks for this event.
Can you hear me? Everything good on your side?
Yes, we can hear you, Fred. Please go ahead.
Very good. Well, thanks very much. And I must say the industry presentations were really fascinating. We very much enjoyed the Bourgault, Valmetal, the Feedlot Health, and Vitaliy presentations. It has very much demonstrated how the cooperation with Kazakhstan and Canada has evolved. So I want to say that was really nice to watch and read and listen about. It's something I'm going to follow up on. I've had the pleasure of being with the working group back in 2018, so I'm happy to be here today. And I want to talk about a little bit about the cooperation between the two countries from a government-to-government approach. Some of the areas that we might want to focus on, and areas just to sort of reiterate the importance of it. In the presentation today, or my little talk today, I'm just going to touch upon very briefly sort of the global supply chains. I think it's important. I will want to talk a little bit about the COVID and the pandemic reality that we're all facing in, some of Canada's experiences as well as what we're seeing around the world. Obviously, I want to talk about cooperation between Canada and Kazakhstan. I'll make reference to our bilateral trade, but one of the things I think I will make reference to now after watching the industry presentations is the opportunity and the growth in the technology transfer and the services area, which is very nice to see. Finally, I'll finish with just, what does Canada have to offer in a very high level, some of the things that we're doing to support trade. And then I guess I would turn it back to you, Mr. Bashir, just to let people have a question. So could you move to the next slide, please? Maybe the next one, yeah. I think on the global challenges, I mean, people are aware of it. The pandemic has disrupted supply chains and incomes for people around the world. There's been a very large shift. I think it's better now, but the whole aspect of the food service and restaurants very much was closed down for 6, 8, 10 months. And really consumers were just going to grocery stores. So very much shift in the consumer demand and how and where we bought our food. Interruptions to the agri-food chains, supply chains were disrupted globally in Canada, in other countries. One of the things that we learned quickly in Canada, and it was with our colleagues in the United States and Mexico, but it was broader, food was essential, and we made sure that food was able to travel across borders without any interruption. So that is something we very much continue to support, because we do understand a number of countries around the world had and do continue to have disruption in their food systems. And that's both an opportunity for countries like Kazakhstan and Canada, but it's also something that's very important that we support to ensure that food is available and unhindered in trade around the world. I think when you look at it, overall, food security is really becoming an issue. More people and countries are looking at what is being done locally. Can we produce everything in our own countries? And in fact, that makes sense, but at the same time, we understand that products, as well as food and services and technology, still need to be traded internationally to provide a predictable, dynamic environment for our trade to continue. And finally, I guess I would just touch upon fair trade. I think it's important that we have fair trade because open, fair, and rules-based allows predictability, and it allows money, services, and technology, again, to transfer amongst countries, and that's going to continue to be important. The next slide, please. Could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. This is somewhat stating the obvious. People know that Canada is a trading country, but I do want to put a little bit of scale on it too. So when you look at our exports, Canada is the 5th largest exporter in the world and the 6th largest importer in the world. And I would just qualify that when these stats, as I provide them, it looks at the European Union as one trading bloc. But what's important is our exports just in 2019 were a little over $68 billion. That's $68 billion Canadian. Canada accounted for approximately 3.3% of the total value of agriculture and agri-food products traded globally in 2013. There should be no surprises. Our major areas of exports were oilseeds and oilseed products, grains and grain products, as well as live animals and red meat, etc. What's also important, though, and I want to underscore that we also are one of the largest importers in the world, and we imported over $52 billion in 2019. So when you look at our exports and our imports, you're looking at a total trade of $120 billion in 2019, and those numbers continue to go up. And I think it's very important that we understand that we're food, again, is able to move at all times. And even now, in the pandemic, Canadian agricultural products have continued to increase being exported as well as imported. So we find that a very positive direction. Next slide, please. I won't spend too much time on this, but I think it's important that we understand the length and the sort of the depth of the relationship we've had with Kazakhstan and Canada. It's gone back since the 1950s. It started with the focus on cooperation on genetics, agri-tech, farm management. It very much continues in that area, but now it's much more in the area of services, research, transfer of technology. But it's very much, there's a theme. Where are there areas that we want to work on? And I think our industry very much identified those areas today. Next slide, please. Bilateral trade, again, I'm overstating it again. History of trade has been beef genetics, bovine genetics, machinery, fish and seafood, as well as processed products. However, I have to be honest, our trade, I think in many ways, we're complementary or competitive in some ways, but competitive in a good sense because the world needs good grains, oil seeds, and meat products. But overall, our trade has declined in the way that we have been renewed access to Kazakhstan. I'm hoping that will help with both countries as well. If you could go to the next slide, please, that will be just graphs showing some of the trade in the two-way countries. So again, very modest. You look at the trade at, $19 million was at our height, I think, back in 2014. Very modest trade. This talks about things such as, genetics, semen, live animals, food preparations, as well as our imports from Kazakhstan. We have imports and exports. But I think based on the conversation we had today with our industry colleagues, it's very much where our cooperation is focused now. And it seems to be very much on the areas of technology transfer and supporting the industries that we've more traditionally had exports to. The next slide, please. What does Canada have to offer? Again, I think people are aware of that, but I think it would be useful just to share a little bit, what do we have to offer? Of course, it's world-class food safety system. It's very important for us that food safety and consumers, and that means Canadian and international consumers, that health is a priority for the Canadian government. Excuse me. Maintaining consumer trust is critical and vital. We have learned that both in the pandemic and just in a general way. So I think one of the things that we look to offer is that we have a strong, flexible regulatory organization. And with the work of the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which is one of the most respected food inspection agencies in the world, it allows us to continue to have a strong international reputation. Right now, we export to approximately 132 countries worldwide, and overall, people want to buy our products, trust our products, and that is a very good place to be. Reliable food supply. I think we're aware of that, the importance of getting food and having high quality food on a regular basis. I think the industry's underscored the presentations today that we have a strong agri-technology sector. I think whether it's in feedlot technology, all of the things on precision agriculture, irrigation. We have a number of environmental aspects that we're looking at as well. So there is a lot in Canada that we have to offer. And I think our goal is to focus as much as we can on business to business work and cooperation, because that seems to be an area. What do we do to support trade? Again, Canada, agriculture is a shared jurisdiction with the provinces and the federal government. So we have a number of policy, we have a policy framework, a 5-year policy framework that focuses on what do we need to do to support our industry. Where climate change, sustainability, efficiencies, this is money that is shared between the provinces and the federal government. And at the same time, we have a trading organization with both the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada that allows us to have a presence abroad. We have a number of our technical specialists abroad, as well as our trade commissioners, and it's in the sort of our network with our global affairs. And with that, we support a dedicated a group of people dedicated to science-based, rules-based market access, and that's both imports and exports. I want to underscore that, but it's very much allows us to promote our products. It secures our reputation, but at the same time, it's getting to be a much more complex world relative to protectionism and other factors such as the pandemic. So I think collaboration, for example, with Kazakhstan and Canada, very much something we would like to support further. And I guess if you could go to the next slide, please. Am I still on?
Yes, we're going to
Can people hear me? Thank you. My system is a little bit unstable. Anyway, I'll finish off with that. But I think the key thing there would be there is a lot of opportunity for us to do things. We can keep in touch. What more can we do? I think we want to do it, look at academics courses, but really focus on the business to business and make sure that we have a strong government to government relationship to allow the businesses to continue to do their work, support them. And support the industries in both. I hope I kept within my timelines. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, ADM Gorel. We really appreciate you closing out the session for us. For all our listeners and viewers, thank you very much for being with us. I want to mention there is the chat function. We have about 12 to 15 minutes for Q&A. And I've already seen that KazBeef is very, very popular because a lot of questions are targeted towards them. So Beibit, if you wouldn't mind, we have a couple of questions for you. The first one is from Danny Fielberg. For KazBeef, what is the status of your genetic improvement program for your private herd? Do you have purebred herds to produce bulls with semen and embryos for your crossbreeding program? Does Kazakhstan have a beef genetic development program?
Aarij, thank you very, very much. Do you want me to answer right now?
It's up to you. If you have,
okay,
if you can just talk a little bit about that, would be great.
Okay, I'll go ahead and answer it real quick. Yes, we do have our own purebred operation. We do use artificial insemination. We use embryo transfer, and we buy also bulls locally, and we try to improve our genetics. Basically, mainly our genetics are based on Angus and Hereford genetics. Oops. Yep.
Well, thank you very much, Beibit. Would you like, I think so we also had a question for you that you did answer privately. So thank you for that. We also have a question now for, I think this is directed more towards the Kazakhstan, Kazinvest, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture, from Danny Fielberg. What is the status of the soybean processing project? Is there an existing Kazakh partner or producer association? And what stage of development this project is in? So would somebody like to answer that from Kazakhstan, please?
Good morning. Very sorry for being late. I just returned from the government, and it's yes 10:20 p.m. here in Nur Sultan, but we're still working. And I see you started your day from Kazakhstan as well. So regarding production of soybeans, you see, we are for last several years, we are changing our area. We are switching from production of different varieties of grains. We are switching to the production of the oil seeds. And for example, let's say 20 years ago, production of oil seeds was just 190,000 tons. And into comparison to the current year, we will collect something about 3 million tons of different varieties of oil seeds. And exactly sunflower seeds is the biggest here in Kazakhstan. We are producing something like about 840,000 tons. And we have soybeans, production of soybeans here. And we are planning to intensify production of soybeans together with cultivating corn and alfalfa and other varieties. And we know that demand for the soybeans is increasing, and looking to the current prices at the international market, we clearly understand that we need to develop this sector here, especially with idea to use more irrigation system, irrigation machines here in Kazakhstan, since as of today, we are using something like about 1.3 million hectares land with irrigation system, and the target is increase this figure up to 3 million tons up to 2030. So you can understand how big potential do we have here. And together with production of soybeans, for sure, we are considering to increase production of corn and other feed varieties of grains. And exactly, we have several associations here in Kazakhstan, several companies who are heavily involved in current time already to the production of soybeans. And so we can organize, let's say, contacts and meetings with them, and in order to consider bilateral cooperation. So maybe I replied on your questions.
Yes, thank you very much. Would you also like to say a few things about the relationship between Canada and Kazakhstan in the sector of agriculture and technology? And we can use that to close this event as well.
You mean about that we have more or less the same climate conditions and soil, and the people who are living in rural area and who are putting all their efforts, all their soul and hearts into the production of agricultural products. For sure, we have all of these items here, so we can develop cooperation, and maybe my colleagues already told you this, let's say, previous colleagues described that we have very favorable geographical location and access to the, let's say, different markets, including China, Russian Federation, and Central Asian republics. And we have very nice quality of the soil, and using current, how to say, modern technologies for the, let's say, for irrigation system, for sure we can increase production of some varieties of grains, as I told previously, and feedstuffs together. And we are open to cooperate. We have, let's say, here in Kazakhstan, different measures of the state support. We have investment incentives, protection of the right of investors, and mostly important, we have natural resources for that. And we are ready to work and to cooperate. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Vice Minister. I think that brings us to the conclusion of our event. I think we have answered all of the questions that were submitted through the chat function. If any of the participants have any other questions, please free to reach out to us or any of the panelists. We are more than happy to connect with you offline and talk more about some of the opportunities in the sector in Kazakhstan and how we can cooperate or increase our cooperation. I would like to now ask my colleague or fellow co-chair Beibit to say a few closing comments and talk about some of the areas where he sees the biggest potential for cooperation. And after that, we will close this event formally. Thanks.
Aarij, thank you very, very much. We had a really good session. and I'm very happy and very proud that I was able to have a bright example of technology transfer with Feedlot Health Management Services. And I think there are many, many, many ways that we can actually cooperate in Kazakhstan using the Canadian technology. And I guess there are many ways we can do that in the future, such as no-till technology, growing high-yield barley and all that to develop the cattle industry in Kazakhstan, because we have a lot of similarities with Canada, and there are a lot of opportunities in the future that we can actually work together. Because KazBeef is just the beginning of the cattle development industry in Kazakhstan, and I think there is a huge potential that we can actually develop. And along with the cattle industry, we can see other areas of development such as grain handling equipment, no-till technology, and many, many other things as beef processing, food safety, and other things that we can develop together in cooperation with the Canadian companies. Aarij, thank you very, very much for the opportunities to participate on that session. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Beibit. This is an interesting year. I was telling someone that since 2014, this is the first year where I have not traveled to Kazakhstan. I do miss a good beshbarmak and some really nice fried latman, but hopefully next year. I would also like to now pass the mic on to Frank Kense from the CERBA chapter in Alberta. This event was in collaboration with CERBA, and it would not have been possible without their organization and efforts in bringing this to reality. So please, Frank.
Yes, I just wanted to close by thanking everybody for participating as a panelist on the session. I know it's been challenging between the time zones and people's workloads, and to the Vice Minister, thank you very much for rushing from government meeting to your office to attend. Your colleague did a good job in the presentation, but it was nice to see you and hear you as well. So thank you very much for making the effort on that. I'd like to thank Beibit and Aarij for being the co-chairs for this session and putting together the panelists. I'm not an agricultural guy, so I'm learning a lot as I listen to these sessions as well. Also, a word of thank you to Vera in Toronto office, who is the person behind the scenes and making sure all this worked as smoothly as it did with the presentations and the mics and the audios and the visuals. So thank you, Vera, for that. And just a reminder that the proceedings of the working groups, all 5 of them, will be presented to a plenary session on Wednesday morning. Please check the CERBA website for the time zones for that and the link, as well as the huge plenary closing session will be on Thursday. Again, check the website for that, and we encourage everyone to participate. We'll have some fairly important people speaking at those sessions as well to present sort of the overview. But our comments will go to Margaret Skok, who is listening to this call, and she'll present those at the Wednesday session. So again, thank you to everybody for participating. It was very informative and I hope helpful to all.
Well, thank you very much, Fred. And I would like to mention that we appreciate the partnership with the government in Kazakhstan as well as the government in Canada. The fact that we have the Vice Minister as well as the Assistant Deputy Minister on both ends over here speaks highly of the engagement at the highest level. We've seen that the collaboration, there is a lot of room for improvement between the two countries, and agriculture technology seems to be the main sector that will drive this collaboration forward. And as we, as Frank mentioned, the idea of this working group is to talk about some of these opportunities and inform or advise, provide information to governments on both sides to see what policy changes need to be made to kind of increase the cooperation in this area. So once again, I thank you. I thank everyone for being on this call. Thank you to all the panelists for sharing their presentation as well as their experiences in Kazakhstan, and for all the participants who are listening in. If you have any questions or any suggestions on how we can improve our relationship, or if there are any areas of concerns or challenges, please feel free to reach out to us either through CERBA or through my personal email. We're more than happy to bring them into attention. And once again, Thank you, everyone. It has been a great event, and we look forward to increased collaboration between the two countries.